The Houston Texans made a trade, added to the wide receiver room, and maybe that changed their draft plans a little bit. Let's talk about the trade for Christian Kirk, the addition to the wide receiver room, how that changes the draft plans. And we got a mock draft for you as well. So get live in the comments section. If you're watching this after the fact, still get live in the comments section. Plenty to get to during the show. Of course, after. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans, and let's talk about Christian Kirk. Then we'll do a mock draft as well here live with you on the channel. A little housekeeping as we get going, and we'll talk about Christian Kirk. We will talk about a mock draft. We might even do another mock draft. We'll see. A little housekeeping here at the top. Channel memberships are available. It will get you some custom special emojis. It will get you some members-only videos over the course of the months. It'll get you early access to recorded videos. So if you are inclined to get a membership to the channel, it is available for you to show you kind of what those little custom emojis look like. We've got a D'Amico Ryans. We've got a Nick Caserio one. We got a Cool Cow one, as well as a CJ Stroud one. So you can see those in the chat. And if you're inclined, you can sign up the little join button next to my name. You can also gift memberships to people in the channel. And again, I think there's some fun perks with the memberships, but that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about football. So let's talk about Christian Kirk. The Texans added Christian Kirk to the equation, trading a 2026 7th round pick for Kirk, and they're going to bring him in. He'll be the slot wide receiver for the Houston Texans. Look, Nick Caley comes from two organizations where they ran offenses that heavily invested in the slot wide receiver position. Obviously, New England had Wes Welker for all those years, turned it over to Julian Edelman, and then with the LA Rams, they had Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, even Jordan Whittington to an extent. They like slot receivers in those two spots, and the Texans now have a slot receiver with the addition of Christian Kirk. He was banged up last year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were going to cut him. The Texans do a good job getting a late-round pick into the equation to keep him from hitting free agency, because if he hits open free agency, could be quite the bidding war for Christian Kirk's services. He's among one of the more productive guys that would have been available if it hit free agency, but no free agency for Christian Kirk. The Texans are going to bring him in. Currently set to make about $16 million. I don't expect that to be the case with Kirk ultimately when they do that contract adjustment. I'm going to think he'll make a little bit less than that. He's not going to be cheap, but he's not going to be super expensive like a Devontae Adams or even Stephon Diggs if the market is indeed busy for Stephon Diggs. Let's just take a look at what Christian Kirk has brought to the table in his career in the NFL. And you look at his production in Arizona. He finally kind of got going there, had a really good season his final year in Arizona, and then goes to Jacksonville and had over 1,000 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns for the Jaguars just 2 years ago, 65 yards per game. And he was on that same pace roughly in 2023 before he missed some games and didn't play a full season. This past year, a collarbone injury ended his year. He's a slot wide receiver that has been a productive player in the NFL every year that he's healthy. And the Texans need a slot receiver. And when you look at what the number 2 receiver has done for the Texans in the past for this organization, let's share this tab for you. I went through the list earlier in the offseason. And these are the number 2 receivers for the Texans throughout the course of their careers. And you look at, or the course of the franchise history, and you look at 667 receiving yards, 709 receiving yards, 548 receiving yards, 879 from Will Fuller with 8 touchdowns in 2020. I'm not saying Kirk's going to be the number 2 guy for this Texans team, but if he is a productive slot receiver and you have a number 2 wide receiver out there with Christian Kirk, then you sort of start to put together a wide receiver room that is intriguing and interesting. This doesn't keep the Texans from drafting a wide receiver. We'll do a mock draft here in just a few moments. This doesn't keep the Houston Texans from signing another veteran wide receiver. Hell, if you're a DK Metcalf fan, This doesn't keep them from trading for DK Metcalf if they want to do that. At the current price listed, a first-round pick and a third-round pick, I'm not really interested in trading for DK Metcalf, but if that price comes down, his price on a new contract comes down, then perhaps you will be a little bit more interested in a DK Metcalf edition. But if they wanted to go chase Devontae Adams, if they wanted to bring back Stephon Diggs, like, this doesn't put the Texans in a box by any means. It allows them to actually do a lot more with their wide receiver room because they don't have to focus specifically on going and getting a player that can play in the slot for this team, because Christian Kirk is going to take that over for them. So I really like the Kirk edition. I'm interested to see exactly what the money is and how it shakes out for this team, because $16 million, not super interested in him in that point. But of course, if the money gets altered and changed and that gets lowered, extended, probably, you get a couple of more years out of Christian Kirk. Maybe this is a multi-year situation, but this is the slot receiver option initially for the Houston Texans with the addition of Christian Kirk. And I really like the move for Christian Kirk. I like the compensation that they sent, which was a 7th round pick next year, and keeps the 6 draft picks for this year intact. You didn't have to give anything up there. You had a little revenge game for Christian Kirk a couple times. Revenge game, if you remember from the Wheelhouse days back in the day. So good move. It has a pretty good upside. And then the downside would be if he's an injured football player again, because if you invest in him to be your slot wide receiver, you bet on Christian Kirk to be the slot wide receiver for this team, and then he doesn't end up being healthy and you've got to go to your backup slot option, or you got to play a player that's not really a slot player there, then you have a little bit of an issue. But short of him getting hurt, I feel like at this point, it's a really solid move for the Houston Texans. They've been able to add a player that, when healthy, has been a productive NFL player, and he's not going to make the $16 million that he's set to make for the Texans. That's going to get lowered. They'll move the cap around, and they'll still be able to go out there and chase. I do believe they're going to add another veteran. I do believe that they're going to add another veteran. I do believe it might even add a rookie wide receiver. And if they don't add a rookie wide receiver, they may add another veteran after the draft as well. I know free agency starts in just a few days for this Texans team. They get going with free agency Monday. You start talking, having the conversations. It becomes official later in the week. The Texans have had some interesting deals post-draft that they've been able to add players. So a lot of these wide receivers come off the board in the first couple of days, but then there'll be guys sitting around waiting to kind of see for an opportunity, see where they want to end up, see how they end up from that nature, or see how they stack up on that roster from that standpoint. So post-draft, you'll see another round of free agent signings after the draft shakes out. Maybe we'll draft the perfect draft here in the upcoming mock draft. So I want to get to some of your comments, your questions, your joys, your concerns. We'll get to the mock draft as well. As a reminder, the channel memberships are available. If you don't see it, refresh the page. Okay. If you don't see it, refresh the page. It should be down under the video next to my name. It should be a join button for you to see. So if you don't see them, refresh the page. They should pop up. I don't know what it looks like on the phone. So if you're on the phone, maybe you're waiting until when you get on your computer. But again, channel memberships, you're going to get some early access to recorded videos. You're going to get custom emojis that will be there's also a link in the description too, by the way. Sorry. I'll put the link in here into the chat as well. There's a link in the description, and I'll put the link in the chat if you want to. Okay, wow, great. There's no join button. Hey, Texas Speed. Boom, he's in. First new member, Texas Speed. Thank you. Tim Pace with the super sticker. Thank you, Tim. So appreciate everybody for signing up. Look, the memberships, you're going to get some fun stuff with it. Custom emojis. You're going to get badges for how long you've been. Early access to videos. We'll do a member-only video every month, and we might even do member-only lives. So there's some fun stuff. I really do believe there's going to be great benefits for you for a member. And I really appreciate anybody who takes their hard-earned money and wants to support me. I'm going to pour it back into you guys. I'm going to pour it back into this channel and what we do here talking about Texans. So I really I Can't say enough how much I appreciate everybody who supports here. And if you're not a member, you don't want to be a member, hey, that's fine. The viewing experience is not going to change for you. You still get videos. You'll still get lives. I'll still read your comments. But good to see you. Texas, good to see you. Panda, she's in. She's a member. Thank you, Panda. Appreciate you. You're always very supportive. And so that is greatly appreciated. So thank y'all so much. Really appreciate it. Appreciate Tim for the super sticker as well. And then I don't know what it looks like. I know you can type in, I think it's colon Cal, and you can get the special emoji, colon Stroud, colon D'Amico, and colon Caserio. That'll get you the special emojis. So there's all that fun stuff. All right, enough about the emojis and conversations. Let's get to your questions, your comments, your joys, your concerns. Another new member, thank you. I mean, BG, you're the man. Thank you. Thank you for popping up in there and being a member. I appreciate that. We'll get to your questions. We'll get to the I did not expect everybody to be signing up so quickly. So thank you for everybody who's a member. We'll get to the mock draft here in a second. I promise you. Cam Akers turned into Christian Kirk. That's actually a very funny point, Adrian. That's actually a great point. I guess they did get a future pick out of Cam Akers, and they were able to use that. Sean wants defensive tackle or special or safety coming in, special teams. The defensive tackle or safety coming in the first round. Primetime, Evan Ingram getting released as well. So, yeah, I don't think they're in the market for Evan Ingram, but, stranger things have happened. Anthony wants a safety or a tight end. Jake saw SNL earlier today. We were having some fun, and apparently Baylor Bear did too. Kicker in round one. No, thank you. Chris says, appreciate you taking the time to interact, respond to comments on your videos. Houston football's number one. Hey, thank you, Chris. Thank you. Let's see here. Why were the Jags going to cut Kirk? Well, they're just moving on from a lot of guys. They cut a bunch of guys. They cut Evan Ingram. They cut Kirk. They cut Josh Reynolds. They're going to reshape their wide receiver room, and he's making $16.5 million for them. So they moved on. You were able to trade for him and get him as your slot wide receiver. Damon says, what's up, Stoots? Need to hear your thoughts on the trade. Nice breakdown as always. Thank you. Sean brings up the Tutu Atwell conversation. So Tutu Atwell was a Rams receiver that was set to hit free agency. Tutu Atwell's barely played in his NFL career. The Rams gave him $10 million. So free agency might be weird with wide receiver contracts. So that is something to think about as well. Christian Kirk's potential is better than more than half of these names. Yeah, look, there's been some pretty bad recommendations. I mean, like even me, I did a video on DeMarcus Robinson. Like Christian Kirk's a better football player than DeMarcus Robinson right now. Now, I'd still take DeMarcus Robinson as your fourth, fifth wide receiver, but you had to go out there and do something, add veterans, multiple. This is one of the veterans that you're going to add. Baylor Bear wants Hopkins. I don't think there's as much there left. He also likes Ricky White out of UNLV. We'll see if we can maybe end up with Ricky. Tim Pace likes the Ohio wide receiver, so Ohio State, I think you mean Emeka Egbuka. Are better all the protection we can get for CJ. If I remember, we had no well-known receivers in CJ's first year. I remember not using a 1 or 2 pick, but we were good. Yeah, there's some thoughts to that. Yeah, like you make the investment. So appreciate everybody joining up on the memberships. You guys are so generous and kind. I appreciate you. Nate, Panda is a true OG. Panda's been around for a long time. Cody, do you want Evan Ingram on the Texans? I don't. They'll let him go somewhere else. I'd rather have a rookie. So let's see. Zach's a new member. Appreciate you. Armin's a new member. Appreciate you. Nate Davis is a new member. Appreciate you. For off-the-cuff live streams like this, it'd be cool to have chat on the screen to see everybody's reaction to the news. I can work on doing something like that, Nate. Let me see what I can come up with. Appreciate the super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. I can work on something like that. I don't know how to do that, but I can figure out how to do that. Max says, how would we be feeling if we still had Noah Brown on this roster? I mean, I'd feel a little bit better, but I want guys to push Noah Brown down. Like that's my biggest thing with this offseason with the Texans here. I want them to acquire players that are good enough to play right away or good enough to push the guys that are currently on the roster and make it difficult for those guys to stay on the team. So Dare Ogunbowale got re-signed this week. One year, $2 million deal. I want them to bring people in that push Dare Ogunbowale, make it tough for Dare Ogunbowale to make this football team. I want that to be the case with Titus Howard. I want that to be the case with centers, with safety. I want them to push people with the depth of this roster or find players just out starting ahead of other guys. So David says, Cody Stoots, a man of the people. Appreciate you, David. It's very kind. Very kind. Armin says, what's up with these member-only videos and streams? Look, there's not going to be a lot of member-only stuff. I don't think that that's totally fair, but you're going to get early access to videos that are recorded videos. You'll get highlighted over in the chat, so it's easier for me to see your comments and respond to you. And there will be a member-only video each month, but there's not going to be a ton of those. But we'll have some fun. You're going to make it worth it. And, of course, the highest membership level, you're going to get a free Houston football subscription. You're going to get discounts on merch in the future. So, Armin, appreciate you for signing up. Nate Davis, a new member. Appreciate you. My buddy, Risque Barber. That mustache makes you look like a 70s detective. I'll get to the bottom of the case here. Don't you forget about it, Risque Barber. Appreciate you for the super chat, my friend. I'll get to the bottom of the case. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Wait till I put on my Kuiper disguise for the live draft or for the mock draft. Frazier, Demarcus Robinson sets a good floor for the receiver room. Yeah, look, better than Demarcus Robinson, you play. Not better than Demarcus Robinson, you get cut. That's kind of how I'd approach that. I'm retired, so I put the $2 price and I can at least double my donations. Tim, thank you so much, man. Thank you. It's there. It just doesn't say join. I think it's in the second paragraph. Yeah, so the join button or link is in the description. I can also put it in the – I didn't know people were going to want to join so much. You guys are very nice. Thank you. David says that I give off Ron Jeremy vibes with this. I don't know about that. Cody, the real news is why are you defending Kaimi? Come on. Come on. You're the man. Granville, thank you. Brand says I concur with Cody, well worth the investment. Cam says Kirk's a slightly better Noah Brown. Very different guys. Consistent Christian Kirk is better than consistent Noah Brown. I mean, Noah Brown has basically never been healthy. Kirk has been healthy before. And if Kirk is healthy, then he's going to be a productive player. That's just how it's worked in his NFL career. David's a new member. Appreciate you. What's the word on Dyami Brown? Does it make sense now that Kirk will lock up the slot? I never bought that Brown was this big free agent that people really wanted. Like, he's not really been a super productive football player. And I wonder if he has a really good agent. And he just was able to get, like, he's had 784 receiving yards in 4 years in the NFL. He had 4 touchdowns in 4 years in the NFL. Like, Dyami Brown is not a good football player. He's not going to be some sort of big investment for somebody. So I've never really understood the Dyami Brown conversation that's really popped up. Okay. How much will Kirk cost? I'm not sure the exact dollar figure. It's going to be less than the 16, though. Brett V says, interested to see if we move up to try to get Matthew Golden. Well, it's an intriguing idea. I don't love it. I don't know that there's a lot of guys I'm ready to move up for in this draft. Ted McMillan from Arizona would be one of them. We'll see in the mock draft. I'm not super keen on doing trades in the mock drafts this early, but we'll see. What does Christian Kirk mean for John Mechie? It doesn't mean much. They're totally different players. Mechie's still fighting for his roster spot, in my opinion. So that is Mechie's still fighting for his roster spot. It will come training camps. So you got to get guys in there that push John Mechie, but I don't think that there's I don't think Kirk necessarily, I don't think that he has any sort of bearing on John Mechie. So Marky Mark's a new member. Thank you, Marky Mark. Appreciate you. Had to pull it up on the iPad, but the membership acquired. Thank you, Marky Mark. Of course, you guys want to get in the memberships. Should be a join button on the page. If there's not, that's a YouTube thing. It's in the description. I put it in the chat a couple times as well. Again, memberships. There's 3. I recommend the middle one. If you have it, you're going to get members only videos. You're going to get early access to videos. You're going to get the custom emojis. As we get more members, we can add more emojis and fun stuff like that. Discounts on merch in the future. So again, the support from everybody is fantastic. I really appreciate it. And let's get that mock draft going. You folks have waited long enough. The whole thing says mock draft. Let's get the mock draft going. So we're going to do all 7 rounds on this one. We're going to do all 7 rounds on this mock draft. We're going to take it all the way to the end. Okay? So all 7 rounds on the mock draft. No trades right now. Okay? No trades right now. I guess we'll break the rule if one of these great players starts to fall. But for the most part, no trades. Okay? And I didn't see any tiers. I just saw 1 or options. Did I miss it? I am unsure. This is all very new to me, so I forgive me for any membership issues. We'll adjust as we see fit. Yeah. Okay, so let's get the mock draft. We'll worry about the membership stuff at the end. No trades unless somebody awesome starts to fall. Then we'll have a conversation about it as a group. We're going to try to go best player available with an understanding that there are some certain needs that the Texans have. This is obviously the last mock draft we're going to do before free agency. Free agency will happen. That will change a lot of things. And we'll go from there. So let's get this mock draft started. Let's see what the Titans do at the beginning. And, hey, if everybody's nice on the mock drafts and the memberships, maybe we'll do 2. All right, so Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Abdul Carter. That'd be great for the Giants. Well, look at that. Ashton Genty goes pretty early. Mason Graham to the Jaguars. Let's go. Nobody that we feel like we have to get is falling yet. Tet McMillan goes off the board. Brown, the Cowboys. That's a really good pick for them. Shamar Stewart, finally an edge rusher for the Falcons. Malachi Starks comes off the board. Okay, there goes, oh man, Igbuka. Woo! Okay, so this little stretch here where Igbuka goes off the board, Emanawari goes off the board, James Pierce Jr. goes off the board, and Jalen Walker goes off the board. That one hurts. That one hurts because all those players would be in consideration for the Texans. That one hurts. I don't quite understand the Buccaneers taking a tackle, but I digress. Kelvin Banks coming off right before the Texans pick. That one hurts. So these 4 picks right in front of the Texans selection were all players that I would have considered taking with the 25th overall pick. So that one's tough. That one's tough. What are we trying to get? Just looking at the rankings here on Pro Football Focus and Mock Draft Simulator. You've got Luther Burden. Derek Harmon is a big-time defensive tackle. It's my understanding Walter Nolan probably does not fit what the Texans want. Obviously, Matthew Golden's success at the Combine and in the playoff was huge for him. So you've got Matthew Golden as an option. I love Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. He would be a very fun pick. He would be a very fun pick for the offense. Obviously, not as play him right away as some of the other players. Gray Zabel, it says tackle, but he's going to play interior in the NFL, would help out that offensive line situation right away. Based on the wide receiver availability here, I feel like we're kind of pretty close to wide receiver, Burden or Golden. That's kind of where I am. And Burden's got a lot more slot to him. He played a lot of slot at Missouri. You don't want to shoehorn yourself into one thing. But, man, adding a wide receiver like Matthew Golden, he was really successful at Texas. Ran super fast. Probably doesn't play as fast as the 40 time. Okay, grade. I kind of love – is the chat against Loveland? Because I kind of love the idea of Loveland and then that kind of being he's almost kind of your 2-3 with whoever you get outside with whatever other veteran you add. He takes over at tight end for Dalton Schultz at the end of the year. Do we like Loveland? We're not doing this would be a great, 29 teams want to trade into the position. So, it's a great trade back. We're not doing trade backs on this one. So here's another issue too. Wide receiver, not super deep compared to defensive tackle, compared to interior offensive line. Nick Scorton would be a really fun pick too. Edge rusher. To me, I'm between Golden and Loveland. Colston Loveland. So Michigan was basically unable to play football throwing it when Loveland was off the field. And when he was on the field, they actually could throw the football a little bit. Noah brings up a good point. It is a deep tight end class. It is not as deep at wide receiver. Man, this is tough. By the way, the clock already expired if we're Nick Caserio. We're taking our damn sweet time here. I like some of these other tight ends. I like some of these other defensive linemen. I like some of these other interior guys. For the fit, the speed, what you need, I'm going Golden. Probably in that scenario, if we'd allowed trade backs, we'd probably trade back. But I'm going Golden. So there goes Zabel. There goes Skirton. There goes some other wide receivers. Oh, TJ Sanders and Tyleek Williams. There goes Xavier Watts, my other safety that I really liked. Boy, we're losing some good players here, folks. Did we make a mistake? Swessinger would have been an interesting one. Alfred Collins, the big fella. Okay, man, Shamar Turner would have been fun too. So, the Texans added Christian Kirk. We went and got a Matthew Golden. They're pretty well squared away here at wide receiver. So, if we're thinking wide receiver, it's got to be much, much later in the conversation here. So, let's see. See what we're working with here in the draft spot. Now, my clock here on the top stopped talking. So am I still here in the chat? Okay, here we go. The chat finally caught back up. All right. Computer froze there for a second. Okay, looking at the players available. Cam Scatteraboo at running back. A lot of running backs in this draft. I'm not sure that he's actually a second rounder. Couple of edge rushers from Ohio State. Not going to get Xavier Restrepo because you have a slot receiver with Christian Kirk now. Man, don't really need a starting corner, but Darian Porter would be a lot of fun. Now, now I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Now, here's a guy in Omar Norman Lott, pass rushing defensive tackle. Now, he was a rotational player. He was a rotational player for the Vols. As you see, 225 snaps. So not a ton of work for Omar Norman-Lott, but the big fella is an athlete. The big fella can rush the passer from the defensive tackle spot. Dylan Sampson's a consideration here. I'm getting kind of low here. It's going to be kind of, T. Ferg. Jordan Phillips would be a fun one. Getting kind of low. Where's my guy? Did my guy Tate Ratledge go yet? Woo, they got him 91. Tate Ratledge might be on the board next time. Look at those tight ends. Man, it's Elijah Arroyo. The freakiness that he brought to the table, man, at the Senior Bowl. Mason Taylor would be a good pick too. Arroyo. Didn't do hardly anything first few years of college and then went banana land. Be kind of hard for me to not go with Arroyo. Right? Just a freaky pass catcher, tight end. You already drafted a wide receiver. See what running backs are available just in case. If Trey Henderson is there. Man, people really like Trey Henderson. Austin says you can wait on the tight end, dog. I kind of want to take one of these edge guys, to be honest with you. Danielle Hunter's leaving after this season. Irsari, the tackle here from Minnesota, could play inside. I really like Omar Norman-Lott. I like a pass rushing defensive tackle. I'm going to go with Omar Norman-Lott. Maybe I get a different style of defensive tackle later, but I'm going with Omar Norman-Lott, putting him in the rotation at defensive line and letting him go to work. Got a new member while we were going there. Let's go H-Town. Appreciate you. I know folks wanted a running back. There's other running backs I like. It really is. Well, Trey Harris would have been fun if we hadn't drafted Golden. There goes Taylor. There goes T. Ferg. There goes my other defensive tackle, Jordan Phillips. R.J. Harvey would have been in consideration. So would DJ Giddens and Jalen Royals. Boy, Kevin Winston Jr., the safety from Penn State, would have been in consideration too. Panda says, I thought we needed a run-stopping DT. Well, you can find one of the big fat guys, like you find New Foley in free agency, and you get Omar Norman-Lott, little pass rusher. All right. This is where we're getting our guard because there's three right here. Savanaia from Arizona played a lot of tackle for them, but he's a guard. To me, I'd like to keep scrolling down here and look at this and think about that player and that player. And, to me, it's between two players here, Savanaia and Tate Ratledge. So do you want the big nasty guy from Georgia, or do you want the big nasty guy from Arizona? Do you want the good old Southern boy who's super athletic, was one of the best athletes at the combine and was a captain at Georgia? Or do you want the super athletic Polynesian guy from America Samoa who went to a legendary Hawaii high school and helped change the culture in Arizona? So they're both really intriguing players. Savanaia played a lot more tackle, played a lot more tackle than he did guard in college for the Wildcats. Ratledge, he just, good old-fashioned, successful at Georgia. And look at some of the big games. Basically all draft picks at Texas, big game against Texas in 2024. Big game against Clemson. Big game against Ole Miss. Basically, again, all draft picks on that defensive line. Savanae is out here having great games against TCU, Texas Tech, NAU. Man, I love both these players. I don't know that I can go wrong here, but it is tough to pass up a mullet, a guy that wore 69 in college, a nasty mustache, and I'm going with Tate Ratledge. He's played guard. He was a guard in the SEC, had success against big-time competition. I'm going Tate Ratledge. All right, so we've gotten the Houston Texans, a wide receiver, a defensive tackle, and a guard. It's a pretty good crew here. Oh, man. I meant to put on my Kuiper glasses for the draft. Now we're really going to get some steals here. Got my Kuiper specs on. Sanker would have been a consideration at safety. Ooh, Gunnar Helm fell in this mock draft. Some fun ones here. Willie Lampkin is a 5'11 center. It's a 5'11 center from North Carolina. Let's take a look here. Barrett Carter, linebacker from Clemson. This one's kind of easy for me, but I really like Jack Kaiser. I believe the Texans really like Jack Kaiser. We're going to keep looking here. Oh, Brashard Smith would be a lot of fun. Incredible for SMU. Over 1,000 yards. He basically was the offense a couple of different times for SMU this year. And Brashard Smith can catch the heck out of the football. You got asked to actually do some wide receiver drills at the combine. Brashard Smith, heavy consideration here for him. One of my favorite running backs in the draft. Oladejo is an intriguing player. Pass rusher, edge guy. Beatty's an intriguing player. Mitchell Evans tested really well. Used to be called Baby Gronk. Injuries just robbed this guy of his career in college. So, don't know that I'm going with tight end here. I might continue to wait. Jarquez Hunter, Billy Bowman. I'm taking Brashard Smith unless there's any sort of big disagreement here. I do see Torrey Horton. Horton didn't have hardly anything in 2024 because he got hurt. He's coming off the injuries. Super productive for 2 years at Colorado State. For me, we've already invested heavily in the wide receiver situation. Got to go get some other stuff here. I believe that day one, Brashard Smith has a very clear role for the Texans. I'm going with Brashard Smith unless there's any sort of big sort of disagreement here. Jarquez Hunter would be a good one. So would Billy Bowman. Now, it looks like we're not going to lose too many wide receiver options if we do this. I'm going Brashard Smith. I need somebody behind Joe Mixon. I need somebody that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Going Brashard Smith. So going to have a little bit of a wait here. Get to 167. Still could use tight end. Still could use wide receiver. Still could use edge rusher, another big fat guy in the middle. So there's a couple of different options there. There goes Mitchell Evans, Jarquez Hunter. There goes Billy Bowman. That would have been a fun one there. Pat Bryant would have been a good one on the outside. Kyle Williams. Oh, man. Quincy Riley. Upton Stout. Man, we're losing player after player after player that I really like here. Tesla come off the board too. Man. Hurting me here. Woo! There's the big fella. There's Nebraska's finest. Fedoni. Oh, Fedoni at tight end. Going to have a hard time not picking Fedoni here. Cody Simon, intriguing player. Monagai, if I hadn't drafted a running back, probably go with Monagai. The Texans have talked to Logan Brown. They got tackles, but I don't know that you want to invest here in Logan Brown. We're going to have a long wait, so we got to be pretty confident. Monaheim would be a good one here at center, but he's not going to play right away. If you can find a guy in the 5th round that's got a clear role right away, and Fedoni might have that clear role, it's pretty tough to not take the Nebraska guy. Really good athleticism. You got to be athletic to have success at the tight end position in the NFL. And Fedoni, special teamer initially, finds himself a role after Dalton Schultz's departure. Fedoni, former number 1 tight end in the nation heading into college. Man, I feel like we have crushed this mock draft. What a great job by us. Good job, everybody. We've gone and addressed some very clear offensive needs. We added a depth player on defense that can maybe start for you and dominate on those 3rd and longs in Omar Norman Lott. Now we got that long wait here. But you get an outside wide receiver in Matthew Golden. You get a starting defensive tackle, or at the very least a heavy rotational defensive tackle in Omar Norman Lott. You get a either starter at guard or your future guard here in Tate Ratledge. You get the backup running back that you need for Joe Mixon, who can also catch the hell out of the ball. And then you get Fedoni. So, man, I like this draft a lot. 1 pick left here in the 7th round. You only get 6 players. You get 1 final pick here. We can go a variety of different ways. We can go with a safety here. We could go with a tight end. We could go with a defensive tackle, which is probably what I'd lean towards. A linebacker, if you like one of the names. At this point, you're just throwing a dart at the board and hoping that you get somebody worth a hoot. LeJontay Wester and Jaquavian Marks would have been 2 players I'd have been interested in. Okay, Ty Robinson, defensive tackle from Nebraska. Pretty intriguing player here. Very athletic at the combine for the interior defensive lineman, but let's keep looking. A lot of linebackers available. Ethan Downs, Theo Weiss. Weiss had a pretty solid season for Missouri, even though they couldn't pass the ball to save their lives. Kyron Lacey, we know there's some issues there with him. Probably wouldn't take another tight end, but Moliki Matavayo is an intriguing player. Boy, I really like Dan Jackson. Dan Jackson had himself a real nice Senior Bowl. And Jackson is a guy that I know this number doesn't look good. I feel like he probably played too much in some of the key moments there. Like, Jackson's a guy that's probably best served as a depth player that stays as a depth for a long time and then fills in a little bit. But he can line up all over the place, as you see here. It's much better in like a, part-time role. But I like Dan Jackson. At this point, you're taking a swing at some of these names here. Somebody in the chat said Mac McWilliams. Let's see. Getting real deep cuts here. We want to get Deion's kid? No? Okay. I'm going to have a hard time not drafting Ty Robinson. Big fella. 6'6", 310. Good production at Nebraska this past season with 6 sacks. Got after the quarterback. Get you a little pass rush, get you a little run defense. And again, an athlete. D'Amico could do some fun stuff with him. Let's just take a gander at wide receiver just in case we're missing somebody. I don't think so. Let's take a look at the safeties just in case. I like Dan, man. Dan's the man. Dan's the man. I don't know. Somebody said look at center. See if Jake Majors is still in there. Doesn't look like it. Looks like Majors got snagged. They did not meet with Majors, which I found kind of surprising. Didn't meet with him at the combine. Tough to not get another defender for D'Amico. And I like Ty Robinson. He was good at the Senior Bowl, athlete in the combine. So we're going to go with Big Ty Robinson from Nebraska. 2 Nebraska players. How about that? 2 Nebraska players, 2 defensive tackles. So if the Texans have Tim Settle, they've got Tommy Togiai. They're bringing back Kurt Heinisch. And they add Robinson and Norman Lott. You need to go just find one of those big run stoppers, find one of those big nasties there in free agency, and you can round this thing out. They didn't like the Matthew Golden pick. They don't know the Texans traded for a slot receiver earlier today. PFF didn't love my Omar Norman Lott. They liked Tate Ratledge. They didn't like Brashard Smith or Fedoni. Fedoni's not going to be there in the 5th round. Fedoni's not going to be there in the 5th round. So I don't know why we're getting a C+ on that. And Ty Robinson, it's an A-. The top 42% of Texans draft, the overall B+. I like that draft. That was a good draft. It was a good draft. B+ overall grade draft. I mean, look, drafts like that, you address the needs. Address 5th Ward Texans. Bad draft. You're wrong, sir. It's not a bad draft. That's not a bad draft. You get guard depth, maybe a starter. You get defensive tackle depth, maybe a starter. You get a starter at wide receiver. You get running back depth, pass catching wide receiver. Tight end depth, eventually a starter, and defensive tackle depth. And Robinson can play a little edge, too, in a pinch. Mainly a defensive tackle, but he can play a little edge for you. I think he played a little edge at the Senior Bowl. Let's go H-Town. SNL needs one of these subs things. I don't know what it's called. Memberships. Yeah, so the memberships, there should be multiple. I don't know what the membership sign-up thing looks like on the end for the folks. If it's not popped up yet, there's the join thing. I said if we got 10 memberships, we do another mock draft. Let's do another one. It's a website I haven't used before, and we'll make this one a lot quicker. Let's see how fast it goes. This one is called the Mock Draft Database Simulator. So we'll do another quick one here. I like the first one, be tough to beat it. But we'll do this one here, the Mock Draft Simulator. As I said, if we get 10 memberships, then we'll do another one. Should tight end even be an option in the first round? Only Colston Loveland or, of course, Tyler Warren. So, all right, we'll see what happens here with this draft, see if we can improve it. Yeah, why not another one? The folks love the mock drafts. And this is the only time we get to really do whatever we want because free agency is going to take down some stuff here. That's a crappy trade. Back 20 spots, only get a 3rd rounder. That's a fun trade. Go back 15 spots, pick up a 3rd and a 4th. Oh my God, the Raiders really want to get here. They're giving us the entire draft. The Raiders move back this many spots. Let's see who's on the board here. Starks, Simmons, Grant, Loveland, Booker, Campbell, Manowari. If we're moving back 7 or so picks, are we still getting a good player? Yeah, we get picks, but are we getting a good player if we move back? That Raiders deal is really crazy. This one's a reject. I mean, a second. So we get their second. Texans still have a second. Get their 3rd. Texans still have a 3rd. Get their 5th. Texans still have a 5th. Get a 6th and get a 7th. All right, we didn't do trades in the first one. We didn't put any rules on this one. Let's go ahead and let's have, again, mock draft before they're thirsty. Tom Brady wants to trade with us. Let's do it. They wanted Kenneth Grant. They did all that for a defensive tackle. Sure. Oh, baby, look at this. Look at this. Oh, man. The Houston Texans have two incredible options here. If you want to have one of the best, craziest, incredible defensive backfields in all of football, you can draft Nick Emanuwari. If you want to solidify your offensive line, you can draft Tyler Booker. And the Texans will be on the clock here in, another 19 or so picks. So it's really between these two players. It's between Tyler Booker and Nick Emanuwari. That's what it is to me. Clinton Jennings says, way to ruin the draft party. Yeah, but the draft party on the day two would be even more fun. Man, there's some other guards here that I like. Obviously, I like Savanaia. I like Ratledge. Nick Emanuwari. Just having an absolute freak there. What if we traded up? What if we traded up from 58? Would we want to do that? Get both of them? Try to get both of them, huh? I'm picking Nick Emanuwari. I'm picking Nick Emanuwari. Oh, and then Booker goes right after. God, dog it. No trade up. All right. I was going to try to trade up, I promise. So here's an interesting conversation piece about Tyler Booker is he did have really poor athletic testing, but he was very good as an actual football player. So that's something to keep in consideration. If they run a more power-based offense, Booker's going to be fine. If they're running more zone stuff, he's going to struggle a little bit. Nick, appreciate you for signing up. New member. Thank you. Emanuwari's overrated. Watch film, Cody. He just guesses. Yeah, but sometimes he guesses right, and it's awesome. And I do feel like the floor for Emanuwari gets raised because D'Amico Ryans is a really good coach, and I believe in D'Amico Ryans. Okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing here with the 58th overall pick? We're going to be back on the board here again pretty soon. Nobody called us to trade for this pick. So what are we doing here with this? I mean, Darius Alexander is a fun player. He's 25 years old. He's going to be a very good player right away. I mean, he's going to be a very good player. He's going to be a very solid player right away. The floor is higher for Alexander with the ceiling maybe being a little lower. At wide receiver, we have Io Maynor from Stanford. We have Trey Harris from Ole Miss. We got Jaden Higgins. Now, a lot of people think Higgins is supposed to be a big slot guy, which if you think he's going to be a big slot guy, they kind of took that out with Christian Kirk. If you like interior offensive linemen, Savanaia is available. Bo would be available. A lot of tight ends on the board. Darius Alexander. I mean, we can get Jordan Phillips later if we want. What are we feeling here? I think the people like wide receiver. So Io Maynor is an interesting player because not super productive at Stanford. Trey Harris has the best catch radius in the draft. Smooth, high floor, maybe a little bit lower ceiling. Jaden Higgins is kind of Nico Collins-esque. Jalen Noel is really, I mean, he's a fun player too. He can win from the outside. Io Maynor's got there's a little bit too much projection to him. Trey Amos is one of the best corners in this draft, by the way. We could really fill out that secondary, but let's not do that. You know what? I passed on the guard a minute ago. I'm going to get the guard now. And I love Savanaia. I love his mentality. I feel like he'd be perfect for the Texans. And I like Savanaia a lot. I really like these wide receivers, but I'm wondering if maybe I can sneak one a little bit later. So we're going with Jonah Savanaia. Trey Harris sitting there. Oh, folks, we lucked out on this one because Trey Harris is still hanging out there. The Steelers can go to hell. Trey Harris. There it is. We were thinking about Trey Harris with the 58th pick. We get Trey Harris now at 73, outside wide receiver, super productive in the SEC. Don't need another safety. We don't want to go secondary. You know, Jaden Higgins is still hanging out there if we wanted to go Jaden Higgins. Higgins or Harris? What's everybody like? Higgins or Harris? I like Harris. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. I'm going Trey Harris. If you wanted Jaden Higgins, you waited too long. I'm sorry. I like having all these day 2 picks. Isn't this fun? I hope Nick Caserio gets a boneheaded Godfather offer from the Raiders. Let's see. Lose a third, get a third and a fourth next year. Who's on the board? Yeah, I'm gonna say no thanks to that. Get a fourth, sixth, no thanks. Fourth, third, and fifth next year. No thanks. The Patriots can stick it. Okay, a lot of fun things we can do here. Gone with 2 offensive players, gone with safety. Could use a big ugly on the interior defensive line. Maybe a little early for some of these guys. Jordan Phillips, though. You want your run stuffer? Jordan Phillips is your guy. Squats over 700 pounds. Okay? Just a freak. Running backs, some really good choices here. Dylan Sampson would be awesome. Scattaboo, if you're a Scattaboo fan, plenty to like there. Swinson and Stewart and Kennard are all intriguing defensive end prospects for the Texans. I mean, still got my guy Tate Ratledge on the board if we wanted to do that. So Demetrius Knight is a fun player. Demetrius Knight, South Carolina linebacker, 25 years old, so he's older than a lot of other players. And some people believe he's the best linebacker in this draft after Jahad Campbell, so the second best linebacker in the draft. So linebacker's a little early for me. Tackle, don't love any of these guys. I'm thinking Sampson or Scattaboo. I like Dylan Sampson. Let's go with Dylan Sampson. What's our tight end situation? Oh, hold on now. We like T-Ferg? Yeah, let's go with the running back. Let's go with Sampson. It's a clear succession plan. A clear succession plan for Joe Mixon. Helps him out right now. We see some good players start to fly off the board there. There goes Stewart. Restrepo finally comes off the board. There goes Scattaboo. Reed, the safety from Penn State's an interesting one. The commies can stick it. Oh, man, look at all these great – I was going to say, look at all these great running backs that are still available at running back. Oladejo was awesome at the Senior Bowl, by the way. But I need a big guy. Jordan Phillips. I love Jordan Phillips. Super smart guy. hearing him talk about football, you can tell the passion that he has for the game. And he's played everywhere from the 0 to the 9 on the defensive line. Again, super strong, loves football. He can't pass rush to save his life, but maybe they could teach him something. But there's your run stuffer. There is Jordan Phillips. We're getting Jordan Phillips. We're getting an A+ for that pick as well. My God, we're the best drafters in the history of drafting. Look at us go. 49ers want to give us a 6 and a 7th. They can stick it. I mean, Terrence Ferguson would be incredible, right? T-Ferg, after the athletic showing he had at the combine, going to be hard to not pick T-Ferg. I like Jackson Hawes, but he's a run blocker and a pass blocker. He's not a do-it-all like T-Ferg. Already got a running back, so we're not doing Devin Neal. Ransom would be interesting at safety. There's just not anybody else that I feel like I have to go get. Pat Bryant can help you inside and outside a wide receiver, but Pat might still be there when we make our next pick. I think this one's got to be T-Ferg. Let's go get the big freaky tight end. And we still got a bunch of other picks. Look at all these picks we still got. We're going to have some fun guys we can take a big swing at. We also trade up if we like guys too. It's the next 167, 214, 224. I really like Pat Bryant. He could help out on the bottom end of those of the wide receiver room. He could push the Mechis, the Hutchinsons of the world. David Walker would be an intriguing edge player. Could double up on tight end, get the run blocker. Kyle Williams would be interesting. Williams told me at the Senior Bowl, if you put me in a wide receiver room with Nico Collins, it's going to be electric. I mean, what was I going to say? No. I'm not going to believe him. Wonder where Williams lined up mostly. And Williams did a lot of outside stuff. Kind of like Kyle Williams here. Washington State wide receiver. Castro gets you a little bit of depth at safety. Higgins, really smart guy at linebacker. Upton Stout can play all the different spots in the secondary. Let's look at the wide receivers here. Some good ones. Tesla late. Pat Bryant had some pretty good ones. Come on now. Mr. Kaiser. I mean, college football's leading tackler, coverage guy at linebacker, played safety in the Senior Bowl because they ran out of safeties because of injuries and guys opting out. I just feel like he screams Houston Texans. Maybe a little early for him. I love Jack Kaiser, one of my favorite players in this draft. Maybe not as athletic as you'd like some of the linebackers to be. Wonder if I could get Kaiser later, though. You know what? I'm getting another wide receiver. I'm going to get another outside guy. Get somebody on the bottom that can really push. Mechie can push Xavier Hutchinson. I'm getting Kyle Williams from Washington State. Loved him at the Senior Bowl. Really good. Got a little inside-outside versatility to him. So, he's a backup guy if something happens to Christian Kirk, who, of course, has an injury history. Well, aren't mock drafts that are super unrealistic very fun? Kurt, appreciate you for the membership. Thank you. So we're back on the clock here. Nobody wants our pick. Oh, look who's there. Look who is there. Hold on. Update here. Come on now. Jack Kaiser. Boom. We're doing it. Get Jack Kaiser still. A couple more of these late picks. We're just throwing darts at this point. Oh, we're right back on the clock here. All right, so Slater out of Sacramento State was a freaky athlete at the combine. That's a guy that you draft and he maybe grows into a position there. Howard Cross, not a huge defensive lineman, but he's a big enough guy. Double up on tight end. Anybody opposed to that? Dipree was one of the best athletes at the combine. Let's see what my defensive lineman situation here is. At this point, we're just throwing darts. Let's throw a dart at Slater. See what comes up here. It's a defensive or another offensive lineman. And I'd be lying if I told you I know much about these corners. I know longer beam's probably supposed to go a little bit higher than that. I do not know a lot about these corners. Safeties. Nope, don't know much about the safeties either. The machine says Elijah Huzzy. Unless there's somebody that I just love here. Oh, Zeke Biggers. I love Big Zeke. We'll go Zeke Biggers, defensive lineman. Did not get our edge guy. Probably had some opportunities to get edge guys, but didn't get our edge guy. We got a B+ for Amanawari. I don't know about that. Savanaya, Trey Harris, A+, Phillips an A+, T. Ferg an A+, Kaiser an A. Good draft. That was super unrealistic because the Las Vegas Raiders handed us a giant package of draft picks for no apparent reason. So, don't know what that's all about. Okay. Two mock drafts in the books. Talked about Christian Kirk. These glasses, even though they have no lenses in them, they do bother me. Couple things here. Housekeeping stuff. Got the channel membership benefits. Channel-centric custom chat emojis, exclusive access items, members-only posts, members-only videos, early access videos. That's coming up. There should be levels in the membership. I don't know what it looks like on the end. I probably should figure that out. The middle one gets you basically everything. If you signed up for the little one, I think I can upgrade you. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But memberships, if you do feel so inclined, you'll get some cool stuff. I believe it's worth it. The viewing experience will not change for you if you're not a member. So don't worry about that. It's just another way to support the channel. I certainly appreciate everybody's support. Panda says there's no levels, just $2.99. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Well, then we'll do some adjusting here, Panda. I don't know. I got to figure that out. I don't know what it looks like. If you want the membership link to join, the join button should be at the bottom. There's the join button. Corey says he had to scroll down to see all the levels. The $4.99 level was supposed to be the level. I don't know. They told me I shouldn't do just one level. I don't know. I appreciate everybody's support, whatever level it is. The big one, you get a free Houston football subscription for every month that you're subscribed here on YouTube. Let me see here. Bear with me here as we do just some back of house housekeeping here. This is probably not the best content in the world, but I'm just doing a little looky-loo here on the back end. Of course, the Okay, so some people are in the If They Ain't Houston. Some people are in the Let's Talk Some Texans. Marky Mark hit the Ring of Honor. There are different levels. Some people found them, some people didn't. I'm sorry if I put them up there or made it hard to find. I'll adjust accordingly. I appreciate everybody's memberships. Panda, I don't know what to do. I jacked this up here. I will find some information on that, Panda. I'm sorry. Or I'll adjust the perks or something. I don't know. Maybe I can adjust on the back end what type of membership. Let me see here. I am an idiot, so I don't know exactly what I'm doing. But I appreciate everybody signing up. Nick, thank you. Traden, thank you. Again, the If They Ain't Houston is the middle one. That's the one to be in. Let's Talk Some Texans is greatly appreciated. I'll adjust the perks accordingly. So I appreciate everybody jumping in. I'll adjust the perks accordingly because apparently the first month, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I will not. I will make it worth everybody's money. I promise. I'll figure it out. So. There should be a join button. If not, the link. Okay, there we go. Enough about the memberships. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Thank you for watching the mock draft. We will, oh my gosh. Risque Barber, Derek, thank you for the memberships. You guys are the best. Thank you to all the members. Thank you to all the viewers, the chatters. And that's the final mock drafts before free agency. Free agency will get going, obviously, next week. We'll have some fun with that. We'll get you the couple more free agent videos before free agency starts Monday. Got SNL with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. So don't miss out on that. Where's the Stoots unhinged level, Kaimi argument level contents 24/7? Hopefully I don't lose my mind about the kicker anymore. Okay. I'll work on this membership stuff behind the scenes. Thank you, everybody. You guys have been very generous. You're always very generous with your time, your likes, your comments, your questions. Thank you. You make it very possible for me to do what I do. I greatly appreciate it. And we're going to have so much more fun stuff for you over the course of the next few months. And then during the season, during the season, we're going to have a blast. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So just because we got all this new fancy stuff, we end the live streams the same way each and every time. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. And we'll talk Texans again soon. If you have any questions about the membership stuff, please email me. I'll put my email in the comment section. Oh, we're very close to stickers too, by the way. Get some stickers out here pretty soon as well. So, thank you, everybody. Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching.